Welcome to the Weekly Roar, coming live from the Lion's Den, helping new managers become great leaders and awesome bosses. And now, here's your host, Greg Storch.
All right. Hey, Steve, thanks for jumping on. I think we're live. I love it. Okay, well, listen, everybody, thanks for waiting. Sorry for the delay. Welcome to the Weekly Roar. This week, I'm continuing my growth series with a special guest of mine, and we're going to be talking about the law of the mirror. But before we jump into that law, I'm Greg Storch. I'm the founder of Lion Enterprise. It's a leadership development and coaching company, and I'm also a certified speaker, coach, and trainer with the John Maxwell team and a certified professional coach. So last week, if you were with us, you saw that we discussed the importance of contribution to your growth with Sonia Etchmandy, and she was dropping truth bombs like it was cool. I really enjoyed my chat with her, and I hope y'all did too. But this week, we're going to continue this growth series, and we're going to be talking about the law of the mirror. You must value in yourself in order to add value to yourself. And here with me today, all the way out in sunny San Diego, the world's finest city, is Mr. Steve Finch. Steve is the founder and CEO of Kinetic Coaching San Diego. He's also a certified speaker, coach, and trainer with the John Maxwell team. Steve, welcome to the Weekly Roar, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for having me on. And I have to start this whole thing with the disclosure. It's not so sunny in San Diego today. We're getting ready for a nice big storm to blow in, and they're calling for 3 days of rain and as much as an inch alone tomorrow. So everybody's got their boats inflated, and we're ready for what will probably be some flooding. So.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. But anytime San Diego gets rain, you know that's a problem. So I hope everything works out for you. So, hey, Steve, before we jump in, I just want to kind of summarize this law a little bit. For me, this law is actually very critical when it comes to our growth, because this is where it starts. It's believing in your worth. You have to believe you're worth it and seeing the value in yourself. So, Steve, I like to kick these sessions off with my guests, just talking briefly about your personal growth journey. So what has your journey been like for you?
Well, my personal growth journey has probably been pretty much like most people's, in the fact that I have seen my ups and seen my downs, and periods of intense growth, some periods where it's been minimal. But the thing that probably characterizes my growth journey has been the fact that there's consistency. It's not the extreme highs and then dashing down to the extreme lows, crashing, and then trying to recover and gain momentum back. There are ups and there are downs, but they aren't nearly as drastic as they probably would if, say, for example, I was younger. But yeah, my growth journey is pretty consistent.
Awesome. I love it. So when did you come across the whole idea of personal growth? Is this new to you, or is this something you've always been aware of?
No, this is something that I have been involved in pretty much for my whole life. I was involved in a number of different endeavors that required me to interact with people and to take leadership positions. So I always kind of seemed to gravitate towards that. And of course, as I asked myself, how do I want to continue to grow in this skill set? It became very obvious to me that I had to begin branching out and begin taking some of the material from John Maxwell as well, and Paul Martinelli, and some of those guys that have helped train us. And so No, it's been something that I've been doing for many, many, many years.
Awesome. I love that. So now, Steve, I remember, I want to just share this with our audience. Before I came to Italy, I was out in San Diego for a speaking engagement, and Steve and I had the pleasure of taking a moment out to meet up for morning coffee. And gosh, Steve, I think we ended up spending a good 2 hours together just talking. But I really appreciated taking the opportunity and that chance to connect with you, because we had only connected virtually up until that point. And you had mentioned during that time that you were previously leading a men's group as a pastor in the past, correct?
Yeah, I was a men's ministry pastor of a large church here in San Diego for 16 years. I did that. I'm still doing a Bible study. I have a men's group that meets every other Monday night. So yeah, I've been involved in some way, shape, or form in ministry since back in 1972. And so it's just part of who I am. I'm involved in a smaller church now, and my, of course, duties are a little less, but nonetheless, I'm still involved with men's groups.
I love it. Well, thanks for sharing a little bit about that and your involvement with the men's group, because I can imagine being in that kind of a position where you mentioned where you've taken on these leadership roles. That would require you to really be comfortable with who you are, have that strong self-esteem, to be in front of them and trying to lead them down this path. So what are some of the influences in your life that contributed to you developing a positive self-image?
Probably the most forceful or strong influence in my life would have been my grandfather. My grandfather understood people, was able to be a great encourager. And he always used to tell me when of course, me being the oldest grandson, the favored one, my grandfather would tell me, he says, "I'm betting on you." And he would always encourage me in that regard. He said, anything that you make your mind up to do, Steve, he says, you have the ability to do it. You may not be the first one to the finish line, but you will consistently make progress and eventually finish that which you set up to do. So my grandfather was really, really key in that. But also I have, had associates in ministry alongside of me for a number of years, and they have played a great influence. The thing that most people don't know is that while you may be involved in ministry and helping others, and of course you definitely have to have a strong self-esteem. I mean, particularly when you do guys, because guys can read you like a book. But the associates that I'm with understand and know, and those who are in ministry know, that there are high points and there are low points in that leadership journey. And it's good to be able to have people that can come along and, as we say in the ministry, talk you off the ledge and tell you, hey, look, you're not going to jump, get back in the game, plug in, and then encourage you to continue on your journey.
Wow. It's interesting how we all have those significant people in our lives that we can recall and what kind of a role they've played. And as we think back, it's critical to find those people that really contributed to our self-esteem, because that's what's really contributing to our ability to see value in ourselves. And when we see value in ourselves, then we desire to add value to ourselves. And one of my favorite quotes actually from this particular section of the book, The Law of the Mirror, was when he says, if you put a small value on yourself, rest assured, the world will not raise the price. And, in today's day and age, it just seems like a lot of people fall into that comparison gap or trap and suffer from poor self-image, really. Especially with social media, we're always comparing ourselves and how great that person looks on social media. We're always comparing our behind the scenes, their highlight reel, I like to say. So one of the things that John suggests in building a positive self-image is to stop comparing ourselves to other people. So I wanted to ask you, Steve, to talk a little bit about what tips would you give to others who might be struggling to build a positive self-image?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that come to mind when I think about, what happens when you're in that place where you are struggling with your self-image. All of us are going to be there at some time or another. Well, first thing would be, as I would encourage you, set the image. In other words, in your mind, see where you want to be and set that image. And then, as Paul Martinelli tells us, hold that image. Continually remind yourself of where you're planning to head. And then that way you have a better understanding of where you want to go, and you're not just so haphazardly. The other thing is that with the law of the mirror, of course, we all know mirrors reflect the image that's in front of them. And I thought about that when I was, looking over my notes from when I had gone through this particular course. And I thought, we have two different types of mirrors. We have one that's a wavy mirror and is like it's something that you would get in a fun house at the circus. And that distorts your image. That makes your head really big, or it makes your body really big. Or in my case, you don't need a mirror. But but then you have the straight mirror, which is the true reflection of who you are, and there's no distortion. And so I would say that if you have to set the image, hold the image, and know the mirror that you're looking in.
Oh, know the mirror you're looking in. I'm just going to post that up there because I love that. Know the mirror you're looking in. That's great advice. What else? Keep dropping the truth bombs, brother.
Well, one of the things that they say in the book in regards to the law of the mirror is that people are never able to outperform their self-image. So if your self-image is poor, your performance is going to be poor.
Yeah, you're right. That just reminded me of the story he tells about Janetta McSwain, right? And so listen, for those of you watching, if you have not read the book, I'm just going to plug it. It's the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John C. Maxwell. In this chapter, it's called The Law of the Mirror, and he starts out this chapter by discussing the story of a lady named Janetta McSwain from Atlanta, Georgia, or at least that's where she ends up. I'm not going to tell the story because I really want to encourage those of you that have never gotten this book to get it. This is a $12 purchase on Amazon Prime. You're talking about an inch and a quarter thick. It's a great read. And I'm encouraging you because this book changed my life. And it's changed the lives of everybody that put their hands on this book. So I'm not going to recap it, but what Steve just said really reminded me of that story. So Steve, go ahead, sharing with us what are some more of your tips for increasing or helping somebody build their positive self-esteem?
Well, one of the things that are for me more of a personal thing, but I would say integrity. Integrity means whole, or in the case of our personal lives, it's consistent. What you see when I'm with you is the same thing that happens when I'm away from you, that I'm consistent in whatever venue I happen to be in. Integrity allows your image, your self-image, to have its fullest impact. People will gravitate towards you when they know that you're authentic and that you are exactly as you are with me, as you are without me.
People will gravitate toward you when they know being authentic. And if I could paraphrase, when they know what you see is what you get, no matter what scenario it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. One of my favorite things to think of regarding self-image and seeing your worth and knowing what your value is this whole concept of self-talk. We all have, and we're all in the back of our minds sending ourselves these messages. And one of the things in this book, one of the quotes is that you are the most important person you will ever speak to, so be careful what you say. And that's so true when it comes to developing your self-esteem and seeing value in yourself, really.
Absolutely. The thing that each and every one of us does a self-talk. I mean, all of us talk to ourselves, some probably more than others. I know I'm constantly jabbering to myself. And I remember as a kid, I didn't have any wheels, and so I had to walk to church. Church was probably about a mile and a half away. And I remember I would talk to myself as I'm walking along, and every once in a while I'd glance over and I'd see somebody out in their yard and they'd be looking at me, and I'm thinking, they probably think I'm crazy talking to myself. But I've always done that my entire life, even from the time that I was a kid. And when I think about that, I think about the commercial on TV that's for Capital One, and the guy says, "What's in your wallet?" And
Yes.
so I take a little bit away from that particular commercial, and I say, what are you saying? What are the words that you're using when you talk to yourself? There's a great book called Aspire by a guy by the name of Kevin Hall, and he talks about words and the power of the words to find your purpose. And that particular book will, along with the 15 invaluable laws of growth, will revolutionize your life. And you'll finally get to the point, if you haven't been able to get positive self-talk working for you, that book will definitely put you in the right frame of mind to speak to yourself in a positive and encouraging way.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Aspire by Kevin Hall. Steve, I want to take a second. I see a couple of people that have jumped on here with us. I want to say hello to Chris Hawkins out in Virginia, a friend of mine. He's venturing out on his own. He's really been working extremely hard to build his business and get everything lined up. And he's doing a great job. I'm really excited for him. And then Melanie Mueller is with us as well. I think there's a couple other people here with us. If you're watching, I didn't mention your name. Say hello so I can see you're here. We'd love to engage with you. And if you have a question for Steve or me, please put it in the comments. I'm kind of watching it off to the side on my phone to catch it because I can't see it on my screen to be live. So, Steve, I want to ask you next this question. In the back, for those of you watching, let me just deviate. For those of you watching, what makes this book really great? Not only the content of the book, but at the end of each chapter, John actually gives us direction on how to put the laws into action. And at the back of this chapter, it's talking about finding these words, making a list of words that describe you. And then identifying the one word that you feel is your true north, your North Star. So I wanted to ask you, can you share what your word is that best describes you and that serves as your North Star?
I think integrity is the word that I would say is the one word that best describes and serves as my North Star. If I maintain integrity in every area of my life, and you know what? Integrity means being honest and truthful and whole in who you are. It's not saying I'm going to sugarcoat a situation. I've got areas in my life that I need to develop and work on. Every one of us has those. But you know what? It's the man that says, hey, I'm integral. I acknowledge it. I see it for what it is. and I will work in that area. This is my plan, and this is my goal, and now I'm going to work the plan until I reach the goal. But that's always my North Star to keep me faced in the right direction.
Yeah, that's a powerful, powerful word. That's strong. If you're watching still with us live, what is your word? What's your one word that describes you and serves as your true north? I think mine is selfless. I've just come into that word and realized that that's really what has been guiding my actions almost my entire life. But it's really come into my vision recently as I'm volunteering more for the USO organization here in Kenza, and I'm seeing opportunities with my virtual friends where I can add value to them, and I'm stepping up to the plate. I'm running a free coaching group for almost 400 coaches right now in 12 countries and 32 different states. And I'm doing that free to encourage their improvement. So I really feel like selflessness is my word, or while my camera is off my laptop. So Melanie still with us. She gave us a hashtag live. So thanks, Melanie. I appreciate it. And thanks for jumping on here. I'm just going to try to fix this camera so it stops having a mind of its own. Thanks for the love. All right. I think I've got it on there. Good. Okay. So we talked about our true north word. Let's talk about the importance of self-talk. I just mentioned it earlier. You got to be careful what you say to yourself. And you mentioned walking to church and talking to yourself, but let's talk about, did you ever monitor what you were telling yourself, and what period of your life did you become aware of messages from your internal self that you were telling your mind?
You're breaking up a little bit on my end as far as the question. I think I got the gist of it. In the area of self-talk, it has always been something that I've done. And I think it probably because me being the oldest in the family of three boys, I had two brothers that were always looking up to me and expecting me to do the right thing. But of course, that was an awful lot of pressure for a young kid to handle. And of course, my parents probably put me through the ringer more than they did my other two brothers. In fact, I know they did. And so for me to encourage myself and to increase my self-worth and to feel better about myself, I use self-talk. And to this day, it's much more sophisticated today than it was back then, but it's still very simple, because if you get too complicated in your self-talk and it doesn't maintain an integral and honest and simple message, chances are you're not going to listen to it.
Yes, great point. How am I coming through on your end now, Steve? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now.
Great. I just wanted to welcome my lifelong friend, Ellie. Thanks for jumping on and joining Steve and I. We're just talking about the law of the mirror and how to develop your self-esteem, how important your self-talk is. John speaks into increasing your self-esteem by adding value to others. And he says, it's hard to feel bad about yourself when you're doing something good for someone else. It's so true. So, Steve, what are some of the ways that you're adding value to others, and describe the feeling you get from that?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, being involved in ministry is just that. It's helping other people. You're on this journey together, and sometimes you get stuck. and you just need a little encouragement.
Yep.
In the ministry, the gift of encouragement is gold. It's the key. Mm-hmm. So I got to thinking about it. I think you need to look for ways to give with an attitude of abundance. When you look at the situation that you may find yourself in and with other people, you don't want to have a scarcity mindset. You want to have an abundant mindset. You need to give your best. You need to, I look at it like this. My life is a cup, and I give out of that cup, and I give the best from that cup so that my cup can be refilled. And then there are times when my cup is so overflowing that it gets on you. And that's when the reaching out and helping other people really takes on a completely new meaning, because you're giving out of the best that you have, and you're giving out of the abundance that you have. Mm-hmm. And that is always a good feeling, because you know you're adding value to somebody.
Yeah, I love that. That reminds me of my talk with Sonia last week, where we were talking about being a river and not a reservoir, right? That's the same concept. Love it. So, yeah, I've been doing a lot of volunteering as well at my wife's organization, USO, and that's really given me a real taste for what John's talking about, how it makes you feel when you're giving back to others. And it's even it expounded for me, because I'm prior military, and here I am giving back to the military community. So it feels awesome to be able to just give back to them for everything I got out of it. So I love it. Thanks for talking about that. All right, let's see. Steve, give us your final thoughts about the law of the mirror. If you were chatting with somebody over some coffee at Starbucks, over there behind the El Torito, tell me, how would you explain this to them? And what are your final thoughts about this?
Final thoughts. I think it's really simple. Charles Schwab has a quote, and you know I'm a quote guy. I love quotes, yeah. And I think quotes have a great message and to find application in your own life. But Charles Schwab says this: when a man has put a limit on what he will do, he has put a limit on what he can do. And so, in regards to the law of the mirror, we have to ask ourselves, what are you willing to do? If you want to really grow, if you really want to advance in this personal development space, and you want to add value to others, you have to give value to yourself. But before you can even give value to yourself, you have to know that you're worth the value that you're going to invest. Mm-hmm. So if you can come to the place where you say, I will do whatever it takes, then there is going to be no limit on what you will do.
Well said.
Anybody who comes to San Diego can contact me, and I'll buy the cup of coffee.
I love it. So I think you just dovetailed nicely into this. I wanted to ask you, if there's somebody watching this that wants to reach out to you, maybe they're in the San Diego area, maybe they're looking for coaching, or they just want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out and touch you?
The best way would probably be on my website, Kinetic Coaching, KINETIC Coaching SD, Kinetic Coaching SD for San Diego, of course, .com. I also have a personal page on Facebook, Steve Finch. I also have Kinetic Coaching San Diego on there as well.
Beautiful. Okay, I just popped that up, www.kineticcoachingsd.com. That's Steve's website. You can, I assume through there, Steve, there's a link where contact me and they can reach out that way?
Absolutely.
Perfect. I love it. Thanks for sharing that. Before I dovetail out of this section, I want to personally thank you, Steve, for jumping on. I know it's early there. It's what, 9:30 in the morning?
What's that?
9:30 in the morning there?
It's 8:30, 8:35 here.
Ooh, okay. So thank you so much for waking up early in San Diego and jumping on here with us. You added value to me, added value to the people watching, and I really appreciate you doing that. And for those of you that are watching, even if you're catching this on the replay, thank you so much. I appreciate your support, watching me grow and delivering this growth series to you over the next 15 weeks. This was number 6 or 7, so we're about halfway there. So it's never too late for you to jump in on this growth series and learn something about the 15 invaluable laws of growth. I'm going to be back here again next week, same place, same time, with another colleague of mine and one of my favorite collaboration partners. She's collaborating with me and another leader, Diane Dick, in By Design Learning Institute, Melanie. She's the host of Everyday Leaders 50 in 50 podcast. She's going to be joining me to talk about the law of reflection and how learning to pause allows growth to catch up with you. Yeah, I think y'all are going to really love her time with us. So I welcome you, Steve. Thank you so much. Please hang on when we hang up. I want to just say my goodbyes. Until then, everybody, remember, be powerful, but stay poised, just like a lion. All right, Steve, talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Weekly Roar live event at lionenterprise.com. If you enjoyed this video, please tell others to join us each week here in the Lion's Den. Thanks again, and see you next week.